Have you ever scrolled through your social media feed and then maybe while scrolling you saw someone's post and then you thought, oh God, why? Because it seems like that person just has it all, and it just makes you wonder why God is taking his time to release his blessings upon you. I know that I've had that feeling far too many times. In fact, there's been times when I'll be scrolling through my social media and my social media feed, and then I'll come across pictures of friends or friends of friends or just random people that I follow on social media, and then it just looks like God has forgotten me. Like I'll just be like, about God, did I offend you, sir? What's going on right here? But seriously though, I've even had moments when this comparison and this drive to just be like everybody else, it has thrown me into several bouts of depression, and I'm going to talk about depression in another video that I'll be doing later on. But today I really want to talk about comparison. I really want to talk about why we compare ourselves to other human beings. Like, I know, if we're being honest, I know that comparison is something that I have dealt with and really still dealing with in my own life. But thankfully, I've figured out ways to manage it, because the truth is that as humans we all have a tendency to compare ourselves to other people. It's like it's normal, like it's almost natural to compare ourselves with other people, in life. Like, it's what we do as humans. But then again, really knowing how to put a handle on it, really knowing how to manage it, and really not allowing it or not giving it the opportunity to get the better of you, that's maturity. And that's what I want to talk about today. So on that note, I want to welcome you to my YouTube channel. Yeah. I know that I've been away for a while. And please don't tell me that my cheeks are that my cheeks are popping. I don't want to hear it. I mean, anyone who comes out of this lockdown season without having puffy cheeks, you're gonna have to tell us how you're doing it, because I don't know. But anyway, speaking about lockdown, how are you guys doing? How are you guys doing? Like, over here in the Federal Capital Territory, we've been under a lockdown for going to 5 weeks now. And many of us are actually getting used to the lockdown life. But anyway, I hope you guys are keeping safe. I hope you guys are washing your hands. I hope that you're practicing social distancing. I really do hope that the world comes out of this challenge, this COVID-19 pandemic situation, pretty fast and pretty soon, so that we all can get back to normal life. So in the meantime, please stay safe and continue to abide by health guidelines. Okay, yes. So back to what we were talking about, comparison. And by the way, if this is your first time of coming across this channel or watching any of my videos, you are welcome. Feel free to subscribe, and when you do, click on the notification bell so that you are notified once I have a new video. Yeah, so I was talking about comparison. I was doing my research and I found out that excessive comparison actually has been linked, according to studies, has been linked to feelings of depression. So what this means is that many times when we compare ourselves to other people, it tends to breed depression. In fact, studies have shown that comparing yourself to people on social media, excessive comparison to people on social media, it actually poses a risk to your mental health. Your mental health is an important aspect of your health. So now, why do we compare, and how do we deal with it? What can we do about it? Well, I found out that one of the major reasons that we tend to compare ourselves with other people is because we are inherently dissatisfied with our own lives. Now, I don't want this to be some sort of, I don't just want to dish out statistics and, talk about stuff like I don't know what it's like. Yeah, that's the reason why I decided to just have this video in a more relaxed setting so that we can actually talk. I'll tell you like my own story. I typically am someone who is constantly comparing myself to other people. Like up until recently, it was a serious battle for me because I compare myself to almost like when I'm scrolling through social media, I'm checking, I'm calculating, I'm just, because I'm this kind of person who's always out for the next thing. Like I always want to get things done. I always want to get stuff done. And so when I hit a rock, or when I get to a point in my life when it looks like so many things are not going according to plan, it upsets me. And so because of that, I begin to compare myself with other people who seem to have everything going for them, and then I begin to feel like a failure. And truth be told, this has pushed me into depression several times. Like I said earlier, I've had several bouts of depression. I've battled depression like almost all my life, and I've had occasional suicidal thoughts because of this same reason, because I constantly keep comparing myself to other people. I measure my life based on how far or how well I'm doing in my life, based on how far or how well another person is doing in their own life. And to be honest with you, that is just the wrong way to go. It's a complete waste of time to excessively compare yourself to other people. It's a complete waste of time. It's not good for you. It's not good for your mental health. It's not even good for your physical health. Yeah, and I know this because I've experienced it. My case was so serious that because of the way that I constantly compared myself to other people, I wanted to do a lot of things, even things that I wasn't cut out for. Just because someone else can do something doesn't mean that I should try it. I can't do everything. So just allow people to do certain things and you do what you're actually capable of doing. Another reason why I think that many people compare themselves to other people is because of the constant drive, the constant striving for perfection, the constant, desire to have a perfect life, the pursuit of happiness, like they say. So and to me, I just feel this pursuit of happiness is primarily, basically, intrinsically the pursuit of things. The pursuit of things, and thinking that, oh, when I get this, I'll finally be happy. Oh, when I find love, I'll finally be happy. Oh, when I find that guy, or when I find that girl, when I get that job, or when I start that business, or when that business starts making a lot of money, I'll finally be happy. But what people do not realize, that the pursuit of happiness is actually a pursuit. Yeah, I know. You can go. This is the part where you do, deep. I know I'm deep. I will not tell you. You have to understand me. You don't know me. But seriously, the pursuit of happiness is actually a pursuit. It's a pursuit. Solomon calls it the striving after wind. We just constantly chase things. The moment you realize that your satisfaction will never ever come from things, it won't come from relationships, it won't come from marriage, it won't come from having kids, it won't come from anything God has created but God himself, that's when you understand that there's no reason for you to compare yourself to other people. Absolutely no reason. Now, of course, it is possible to compare yourself in a good way. There's always a need to balance these things. There's always a need to balance these sort of things. You can compare yourself to someone in such a way that propels you to be better, in such a way that encourages you to grow, and not in a way that makes you feel miserable, or in a way that makes you feel like something is wrong with you, or something is wrong with your life. I'll give you an example. So I like to watch TED Talks. So And now I can see a TED talk that I really like, and then just compare. Maybe I just liked the way the presenter communicated his ideas, or the way his slides were arranged, or the way his posture or his gestures and all of that. And I might admire that, and I might decide to compare that to how I do my own presentations. Yeah. Now, if I decide to take the things that I learned from his own presentations in order to improve my own presentations, that's a good way to compare. But if I watch his TED talk and I just feel, see somebody's child. See the way other people are doing presentations. See me, see my life. See my life. I'm just miserable. No wonder nobody tells me to do presentations. No wonder I can never do a TED talk. That is a defeated mindset, and that will definitely push me into depression. So you have to know how to balance these things. It's very important that we learn how to balance these things. So how then do we deal with comparison? How then do we manage comparison? Be content. One of the ways to kill excessive comparison is to be content with your life. Be content with what you have. Be content with your relationships. Be content with, be content with your gifts. Be content with your gifts. Be content with your abilities. Be content with what God has given you in this season of your life. If you keep comparing yourself to other people, it will drive you crazy. It will make you feel miserable. And many times, one thing that comparison does is that it pushes us into unnecessary rivalry and unnecessary competition. Like, for example, you just feel maybe there's someone who maybe in your church who does very great makeup, or who dresses very well, or who dresses in a very lavish manner. And because you constantly compare yourself to her, maybe just say, this thing that she's wearing, I also want to wear things like this, or I also want to look like this. But you forget that she has a better paying job than you do. Or maybe her boyfriend is, happens to have more money than yours. Or maybe she comes from a well-to-do family, or maybe her family is wealthier than yours. And you're comparing yourself to her. You find that you start going through extreme lengths. You start competing with someone who probably has it more than you already. Who is probably, like, these things are normal to her. Maybe she can afford to buy the latest iPhone, because maybe she doesn't even buy the iPhone. Maybe most of the time when she gets her iPhone, it comes from one uncle or one auntie or one brother somewhere. And then you now sell everything that you have. You sell in fact, you even borrow on top of it to buy an iPhone, just because you want to live up, or just because you just want to, you also want to be at par with her. It's completely unnecessary. Don't let comparison push you into that unnecessary competition and unnecessary need to outdo other people. So be content with your life. Be content with what you can afford. Another thing that you can do to manage comparison is to recognize your season. Recognize your season. I was reading a book some time back, and the title of the book is Mirror Mirror by Pastor Laju Aaron. Is a wonderful book. So if you haven't read the book, you should get the book. And she gave an analogy about times and season, talking about the Chinese bamboo tree. The Chinese bamboo tree is a very weird tree, so to say, because it takes about 5 years for 5 years after planting before it begins to spring up. Yeah. So if you plant maybe a mango tree the same time you planted a bamboo tree, the mango tree would spring up a lot faster than the Chinese bamboo tree. And if you are not patient, you could just get angry and then just uproot the bamboo tree because it's taking too long. But when it gets to the point when it should really begin to grow, it grows at a very, very surprising and astonishing rate. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that don't compare your season to another person's season. We all go through different seasons in our lives. Now imagine comparing yourself with, for example, like me, for example. Now I just started YouTube, and then I'm now comparing myself to someone who started YouTube 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Like, of course it's expected that the person would would gain more traction, because the person has been doing it for years, the person has garnered enough experience, and I'm just starting out. So that's the reason why it just surprises me when I see young people comparing their lives to someone who has worked and toiled hard for years to get to where they are. So someone has worked for 10 years and can afford to purchase a bag of 500k, and you are just coming out of school. You've not even gone for NYSE, and then you're comparing yourself. You also want to purchase a bag of 500,000 naira, and you don't even have a job. And then you're feeling miserable because this person posted her bag on Instagram, and you're feeling miserable that I can't afford this bag. No, you can't afford it, because you've not gotten to that point in your life where you'll be able to afford a luxury or afford something like that. So you have to be patient in the season that you are in. One of the reasons why we get frustrated when we compare ourselves to others is because we do not recognize the season that we are in. Do not compare your planting season to another person's harvest season. Do not compare your planting season to another person's harvest season. So if you want to get the same result that the person has got, then get down on your knees and start working. And understand that it's a process, and it will take you time to get to where that person has gotten to, just as it took the person time to get to where the person has gotten to. You don't see, social media, like I said, is just what people post on social media is just a highlight reel of their entire day. It's just highlights of their entire day. You don't see the work that goes on behind the scenes. You don't see the work that people put into, that people put in to achieve everything that they have been able to achieve. They did not just show up. They did not just wake up and then boom, they're enjoying all the pleasures of life. Some people actually worked, day and night to get to where they are now. And you want to achieve what they have achieved without putting in the work that they have put in, or putting in the time that they have put in, or putting in the process that they have put in, or going through the process that they have gone through. It doesn't work like that. So recognize your season. Another way to manage comparison is to know your triggers. Know your triggers. What are those things that you know that if you do them or you don't do them, you know that you are more likely to compare yourself to other people. For some of you, it could also be because of a lack of prayer. Maybe you don't pray as much, or maybe whenever you don't pray, you feel like those thoughts creeping in. It could be that for some of you, it could be when you spend a specific amount of time on social media. For some of you, it could be maybe when you take your eyes off the things that you have, or when you stop counting your blessings, or when you start becoming ungrateful. That's when you begin to see the need to compare yourself to other people. So just just know what your triggers are, and then that would help in dealing with comparison. Another thing that you can do to manage comparison is to be self-aware. Know yourself. Know yourself. There's no need to compare yourself to other people, because then you know what you are actually capable of doing. Like before now, I wanted to do everything, and I would feel bad, and I'll beat myself up because I could not achieve certain things. Like, let me give you an example. I'm not very good with things that have to do with the home. I'm not very good with baking. I'm not very good you know, arranging the house and stuff like that. I'm not very good at those things, although I love to have a clean house. But you know, there are people who are just great at those things, and I happen to have a friend who's actually excellent at those sort of things, the home stuff. Like, she's very good at it, but I'm not. And there was, at some point, I wanted, like, I started to beat myself up because I felt, why can't I do these things well? But I can't. But when I began to take an inventory of myself and my skills and my abilities and my strengths and my weaknesses, I realized that, look, I can't do this thing and I can't do it, and I won't waste another second playing to my weaknesses, and I won't wait comparing my weaknesses to another person's strengths. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, so it doesn't. So know yourself. Take an inventory of your skills. Take an inventory of your abilities. I always say that people should learn to do a personal SWOT analysis. Maybe I'll do a video on how you can do that. But take an inventory of yourself. Be self-aware. Know who you are. When you know who you are, then it gives you the opportunity to actually appreciate your uniqueness. Yeah. So I've said that you can manage comparison by being content, by recognizing your season, and by knowing your triggers, by being self-aware. Celebrate your small wins. Recognize where you have come from. Recognize how far God has brought you. And remember that, you know, what's important is that you are making progress. Be realistic. So what you see on social media is not all that there is to it. You know, what people post on social media is not their entire lives. So don't compare yourself to them. Okay, you have your own life and your life is different. This is real life. This is not a movie. So live your life. All right. If there are other things that you do to manage comparison and to keep yourself from constantly comparing your life to that of other people, please let me know in the comment section. Leave a comment below. I would love to read from you. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and don't just do that alone. Click on the bell button so that you get notified once I have a new video up. I'm all about inspiring you. I'm all about adding value to your life. I'm all about helping you become a better version of yourself. And I'm all about helping you recognize how special and how unique you are, and helping you see just how loved you are by God. And till I see you in my next video, please stay safe. I actually do love you.